Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Canary Room. A little bit different format this time round. For the vast majority of the show we're going to go on the road, a bit of that later on. We'll catch up with some new arrivals in the room, so we've been busy shopping, which is something to look forward to. Thanks to everyone who's subscribed to the channel, thanks to everyone who's donated to the channel. Huge thanks to Beethoven Dellison, to William Coleman, to Bill Fraser, and of course our mate Mike Burling. Thanks everyone for your kind donations. If you're able to, home screen of the YouTube channel, it's on there. Well, we've been back on the road. We've been back to our first show since you were there last, so we've got some new mugs as well in the Canary Room. It's a little purchase from Stafford. So, as always, grab yourself a cuppa, sit back, and enjoy the show. The preparation for the show, well, you know, it starts kind of weeks and months in advance, really. I'd put my show cages away. It's almost 2 years since they'd been out, and I put them away last time. I'd given them a clean. But now it was about taking them out again, giving them another clean through, a rinse down with disinfectant, and also disinfecting all of the drinkers. And you can see that here. We use glass top hat drinkers on the Jewish show cage. So popped all of those in a Milton mix just to make sure that any lingering bacteria was no more. And then set the unenviable task of properly cleaning and touching up where it needed to. 28 show cages. So although I had 16 birds entered to Stafford, I only took 14. The blue hen that we'd entered and the 10% buff hen that we'd entered were a little bit off colour. And so, as I mentioned, I think in the last episode, won't show a bird that's not well. So they didn't make the show team. 14 birds did. A little bit more of that a little bit later on. But the preparation of the show cages is, of course, only one part. The Jewer cage is used with perches, which are 5 spars apart. So pop those perches, having given them a thorough disinfectant and clean. And you might be able to see, actually, the little brush that I use here. It's a denture brush. It's really good at getting into little nooks and crannies, and as a consequence, it's very good at cleaning the top hat drinkers out. So, cleaned all of them out, cleaned the perches, set the cages up, pop the seed in, and then pop them back into the cases, the carrying cases. Now, I've moved over the last couple of years to carrying bags rather than the wooden cases, simply because the wooden cases are too heavy. So I've moved on to bags. But then when it comes to preparing the birds themselves for the show bench, of course, lots of show training still going on. But a week before the show, I put them in one of the individual cages and I give them a really, really good soaking. And you can see a few of them here. You know, they're absolutely wet through. Now, the reason that I give them a spray rather than a bath, for me, you can't guarantee a bird will go into the bath. And what I want to do a week before the show is give them a really good soaking. And you can see that they're absolutely dripping wet. What I then do is leave them Monday, and then I'll give them a really light spray over on a Tuesday. And that will be it then. I won't spray them again before the show. And that gives them a chance to just raise their natural oils up. Gives them a chance to preen themselves. Gives them a chance to really, get a decent sheen and a decent shine on the feathers, which is important. In the run-up to the show as well, in the little egg food drawers, little finger drawers you can see on the cages here, I'm giving a little bit of perilla, a little bit of white perilla as well. Birds seem to really enjoy it. Give it every other day, just in the run-up, just to get them where I want them to be. And as I say, when it came to selecting the team that I took, little bit spoiled for choice. 4 of the heavily variegated buff cocks were ready. I only took 2 of them. I'd only entered 2, so but I had 4 to choose from. And similarly with some of the other birds, 2 or 3 clear yellowcocks I could have chosen from. Some of the other birds still aren't ready, and they won't be until later shows. And as this episode goes out, we'll be back on the road again, because we've got another show. This time we're up and away in Hull at the Hull, Fife and Gloucester show. So that's really the sort of the preparation. One of the other things that I will do with the young fives is I'll look at the back of the necks, and a showbird can often be spoiled if it has stray long hairs on the back of the necks. Now, of course, they're not hairs, they're feathers. But one of the things I will do, pair of tweezers and just pull them. Just pull them before the show. It doesn't hurt the bird, but what it makes sure is that head isn't ruined. It's not. The exhibition or the exhibit rather itself is presented in a really good form. So key is the cages. Got to make sure they're clean. Got to make sure they're nice and polished and bright. That's really important. You want to show your birds to the very, very best, and a nice cage will set the bird off. So we've done that. Well, I tell you what, let's get on the road right now.
Well, as you can probably see, everybody, it still feels like the middle of the night. So, let's try that again. As you can see, everyone, it still feels a bit like the middle of the night. We are on our way to Stafford. We've got an hour and a half's drive ahead. So, first show of the season. Let's see how we get on.
Is thanks to everyone who came up and said hi. It was lovely to see you. The showground, I managed to get the drone up, get a couple of pictures of the showground, just to give you a kind of sense and scale for the place, really. The Fifes, over 800 birds entered. There was all kinds of birds on display. The Fifes, as we can see here, I'm getting my birds out, I'm putting them in the show, I'm preparing the drinkers for them, so I'm filling the drinkers up here and getting them ready on the staging. I'd taken them down on the day, not the night before. Often I'd take birds down the night before. And then a couple of shots here, just give you a real sense of the place. The sense of the show hall. This was only one of the show halls, so there were 2 halls of a similar size. And this show hall had, an awful lot of birds in, various different varieties of canaries. We caught a couple of those on film. But when it came to the main award winners of the show, well, it was, delighted for me, really. As I say, the team went out. I put 14 birds in. I had a team of 4 clears out. 2 of those carded. So the clear buff cock and the clear buff hen were both in the first 7, which I was really pleased with. The variegated, they'll be better for the show, but they didn't do as well as perhaps I'd hoped they would. The 10% bird, that was in the cards as well, so that put on a really good performance. And the heavily variegated was really where the team excelled. So the heavily variegated, the heavily variegated yellow hen, she won her class. And that's not where she stopped. She went on to win the best champion heavily variegated in show, which is first colour special for the year. So absolutely delighted with that. Thoroughly thrilled. The 2 heavily variegated buff cocks, well, in a competitive class, they both carded. One was 2nd, the other one was 4th. So really pleased with their performance, again, first time out. And the heavily variegated yellow cock, he also did well on the bench. He carded as well, so really pleased with his performance. The 2 heavily variegated buff hens, they weren't in the tickets. Really good class, that. Some nice birds in there, but they'll be better for the run out. And I always think, when you go to a show, you've got to look at the birds that are on the bench, you've got to look at the birds that you're putting back in your bag, and you've got to decide, well, am I happy with what I'm taking home? And the answer, particularly with the heavily variegated buff hens, was, yeah, I'm very happy to be taking those birds home. Our cinnamon, that wrapped it up for us. Our cinnamon buff cock, well, he won his class, which was a really good result. So it's a class I haven't won before, so delighted with that. So first show season, a number of birds in the cards, which is really good, and most importantly, first colour special under our belt for the year, which is a really, really good result. The show itself, well, it was won by Henry Cooper. Henry, incredible performance with his clears. He won every single clear class. So the clear yellow cock class, the clear yellow hen class, the clear buff hen class, and the clear buff cock class. Special mention to our good friend Keith Ferry, who we know him as a Norwich man. He had second best clear Fife Canary there, so well done Keith for that. The colour specials, well, nice sort of spread really. Adam, Sharon, Kendall, Kev and Sue, the Kendall stud, they won the best champion 10%. They also won the best green and self, and they won the best allied to white. That bird, the allied to white, was second best champion. And a really good performance by Andy Roger and Ryan Wood. Their bird was the best champion variegated. And Richard Knowles, who Richard had a really, really good show with his London Fancy and his old varieties and his fifes as well. Richard won best champion cinnamon, and of course yours truly completed it with the best heavily variegated there. On the novices, well, novice clear was won by Kennedy and O'Keefe partnership. Best novice 10% was won by C. Campton. Matt Dando picked up the best variegated novice and also the best allied to white. ABF Fifes won best heavily variegated and best green, and Grimmer and Hornby took the best novice cinnamon award. ABF Fifes with their green bird, that took best novice, so good result for them. And a good result all round, and you know, my thanks to everyone at the North Staffs and Cheshire Show for putting on a really, really good show. We did get around. We saw Ollie from OC Avery. We saw Shane as well, but we managed to catch Ollie on film. We had a little chat with Ollie. Found this reprobate. I found what I didn't know was he's actually taller than me. So he's younger, better looking and taller.
And got hair.
Yeah. Don't push it, Ollie. Don't push it. It's been a wonderful day here, and it's been cracking to see Ollie. You enjoyed it, mate?
Yeah, it's been brilliant, and absolutely loved it. Got to get round and look at all the fives and everything else today. So,
although Ollie looks a lot fresher with an early start than I do. That's all I'm saying. Great to catch up with Ollie, as it was great to catch up with everyone who came to say hello across the day. We then went into the Norwich room to see how the Norwich Canaries got on, and our good friend Keith Ferry. Well, Keith had a fantastic performance. He won best Norwich, second best Norwich, and third best Norwich on the day. We can see those birds here, but not content with that, Keith then went on to take best canary and then best overall exhibit at show. Now the show is known as the National, so Keith had best overall exhibit there. Many congratulations to him. Thoroughly well deserved. Beautiful buff bird that he won it with. Absolutely stunning example of a Norwich. More of that when we go and see Keith later in the month. I managed to get around. I had a little look at some of the winning Irish fancies, beautifully diminutive birds. Had a look at some of the winning new colours as well. And then really went through the old varieties, so some Belgian fancy, some Lancashire copy, and some of the frills as well. And really thoroughly well done to all of those people who made, you know, the old varieties show a real spectacle. Really interesting to see all the different varieties of birds. Of course, some lizard canaries in there too. So all in all, you know, a really good day out at Stafford. Managed, thanks to Jackie, thanks to the team at Garden Feathers, managed to pick up significant number of supplies as well to bring back to the canary room, so the birds will be feasting for the next few months at least on a whole variety of different things. So that was our On the Road.
Wow, what a day it's been. We have we finished at Stafford. You can see the sun is out again now. It's been all seasons here today. It's been a really good show. It's been great to see so many people, great to meet so many people as well. So thanks to everybody who said hello. We will continue our on the road trips, coming very soon from a show near you. Cheers.
So it was lovely to get back out on the road. It was lovely to see so many people at Stafford. It was great to see so many of the different varieties of canary. Conspicuous by their absence, unfortunately, was the native finches. So they weren't there this year. But I did get to catch up with Shane from Direct Bird Products. First time I've met him in the flesh. Lovely, lovely fella. I took Shane a couple of pairs of fifes, and in return, you might be able to see in the cage behind me, we've got a goldfinch cock, we've got another bully cock, and we've got a linnet hen. So they'll be part of the mix for this coming year. Really, with the natives, it's been the bullies, as we can see here. You know, they're really tidying up now, and they're looking well. They're looking really well, which is good. Managed to catch up with a couple of people as well to sort another bully cock up. So that'll be good. Looking forward to that. And I have done the DNA tests. I've DNA tested some of the Norwich, but I've also DNA tested the young redpolls this year. So I put the young redpolls away. Really straightforward exercise. Now, the first thing I did was on Amazon, I ordered some little tiny sealing plastic wallets, very small ones. The idea behind that was, when I collect the feather samples, I could pop them in these baskets, and they would at least try and stay in a decent condition to be able to DNA sex them. The process itself is relatively straightforward. I took a couple of secondaries out and a couple of tail feathers out of the birds. Optimally, you don't really want to be pulling flight feathers out of the birds, but it is a way to DNA sex them. I won't be showing certainly the redpolls anyway, so that's not going to damage them as a show bird at all. Pop them in the parcel, put all the details on of the bird and the ring number, and then uploaded those details to the Stab Vida website. Now, I know a number of people have had challenges with the services. It's Portuguese this year, and I know there is also a UK-based service now. So far, I know my samples are in the lab, so I'm able to track them through their website and their online app. I know my samples are in the lab, which is great. So I'm just waiting now for those samples to be completed, and as soon as they are, then I'll be able to determine, what I've got in the way of redpolls, what sex of redpolls I've got, and whether or not I need to bring anything in. Speaking of bringing anything in, well, I had the opportunity to acquire, as we can see here, some really, really nice quality siskins, normal mutation on the siskins. The hens, the marking on the hens in particular, I think is really, really strong, and there's a couple of useful cockbirds, again, really nicely marked cockbirds. So got a couple of pairs of siskins there. We've got the linnet hen, so we're going to run a straight pair of linnets this year. We will have 4 pairs of bullies, and we've got at least 1 pair of goldies and another one potentially coming in as well. So we're doing okay with the British, which means, of course, we're going to need to make some plans for the new year, aren't we? Because they're not all going to fit in the canary room. So we will be making a small extension. The good lady Claire has agreed that an extension can be made. So more of that. It'll be a winter project at the end of the show season. We'll do that. So, of course, as with everything in the canary room, I'll capture it on film. But we will be putting some flights up to house some of these native birds. So really pleased with the quality of what I've been able to bring in. Great to see some of the people at Stafford, and as always, indebted to Shane for his kindness and his generosity. That's our Native Diaries. Time now, very quickly, for our Norwich Notebook. I mentioned in the last episode that we'd lost the one remaining white that we had in the Canary Room, and as I mentioned in the previous section, we've DNA tested. Got 5 young Norwich this year. One of them I'm absolutely convinced is a cockbird. The other 4, I think there's 2 hens amongst them, but I'm not sure. And what I don't really want to do is take the chance. So perhaps a little bit unconventional, but I've DNA sexed the Norwich, certainly the young Norwich, to see where we get to with them. And we've also made an acquisition, and I'm absolutely delighted and indebted to Richard Jones of Anglesey. Richard is done an awful lot. He's been on Natives and Norwich, and he had a great show as well. He had Best White Canary in show. He did really well with his cinnamons and his whites at the show. I believe I've got the nestmate to the winner, so I've got what I think is a clear white hen here. Looking lovely feather on it, lovely condition. And then what we think, and I say think, is a variegated cock. And if it is a variegated cock, it will be a carrier of cinnamon. And I say we think. The Norwich, certainly the white Norwich, are quite deceiving. The one I had was, laid a couple of eggs. But if you were to look at it and you were to listen to it, you'd have convinced yourself it was a cockbird. But it isn't, or it wasn't, I should say. So the Norwich just molting through lovely now. We'll wait and see what we've got, and we'll have a proper look at those over the weeks and months ahead. So here's our 2 new additions in the Canary Room. Got a few more to come in on the Norwich, but we've got I think the foundation now of a really, really nice stud. Well, back in the room now are the new colours, the yellow mosaics, the agate mosaics, and the grey wings, the red-black grey wings. I've sexed out the grey wings now, and I have an abundance of male birds, which is slightly frustrating. What it does mean, and I did put a post on Facebook, it does mean that I've got some grey wing cockbirds to go. So if anybody in the UK is interested, please do send me a message. I know a few people have asked for pairs. I'll do what I can to sort those people out, but I will have an abundance of surplus males. So if you need one, drop me a line, and I'm sure we'll sort that out for you. So the new colours are back in here as well. They've coloured up quite nicely. Quite pleased with how they look. Good to have all the birds in one room, so I'm not in and out, although bearing in mind what I've just said about building new things in another place, that's going to be the norm moving forward. So that's it really with the new colours, and that brings us to the end of another show. On the road trips, we are going back to see Keith Ferry. We are going to see Richard Knowles. Richard did really well with his London Fancy and his Vice, and we're going to go and see Richard. We're going to go and see Shane as well, and we're going to see Donald Skinner Reid. I have got a couple of other trips which are almost confirmed, but as soon as they are confirmed, you'll be the first to know about them. If you haven't hit the notification bell, if you haven't hit the subscribe to the channel, you know what to do. Until next time, everyone, take care.